Stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues.
The U.S. Arab Radio Network is the largest Arab and Muslim radio network in America, broadcasting throughout the Midwest region Monday through Friday on WNZK AM 690. U.S. Arab Radio features Arabic and English language programming on every topic, from health, food, and culture to government, politics, and legal issues. Listen live to U.S. Arab Radio in Michigan, Toledo, Ohio, and Windsor, Canada on WNZK AM 690. And in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia on WDMV 700 AM. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. So join us every day on the U.S. Arab Radio Network and check out our website at www.arabradio.us.
Good morning and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with US Arab Radio. We have a great show for you today. As you well know, President Trump has made immigration his main topic, or obsession, if I may say, in his second term. ICE members have been detaining immigrants all over the country, and the government has embarked on many changes over the months. We have talked about this issue before, and we wanted to revisit it because of all the changes that keeps coming up. And the reason we wanted to do that, because we are an immigrant community. With us this morning is Shahad Atiya. She is an immigration and family law attorney and professor of crimmigration at the University of Michigan. Good morning, Michigan Dearborn, that is. Good morning, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. Every time I say the word crimmigration, it stops me. And I'm not going to ask you again to explain that.
Well, you know what? It is a tough word. It just came up recently. It's about the intersectionality between immigration law and criminal law.
Okay, wonderful.
It's actually very relevant to the state of Michigan, because in the state of Michigan, a lot of people have to drive. We do not have a lot of local public transportation, and sometimes the driving offenses are criminal cases that end up hurting you in the immigration sense.
Specifically these days.
So actually, one of the biggest things that we should talk about is people should be paying attention to when their driver's license are getting expired, to whether they need a real ID. If they're traveling domestically, a lot of things have changed. So look at your driver's license and make sure you know what type of Michigan driver's license you have.
How many types do we have?
So in Michigan, we have the Michigan driver's license. But now, as of May of 2025 of this year, a few months ago, you can't travel domestically on a flight with just your Michigan ID. You're going to need that star on the top right-hand side corner that says you have a real ID. That ID lets you travel domestically, for example, without your passport. You can use your Michigan ID to travel. And then there's an enhanced ID, which in the state of Michigan, as a privilege of living so close to the border of Canada, that ID lets you travel back and forth between the Michigan and Canada. It also lets you cross other borders as well, the enhanced ID.
To Mexico, I believe.
To Mexico, yes.
Yeah. And that is a little bit different process, because I do have the enhanced one. And you have to prove your citizenship and so forth and so on. And I remember her asking me, the person I was talking to, she asked me to to tell her my social security backward. And I asked her to do that with hers, and she said, she just froze. It's like, how do you expect me to know my social security backward? So, but I do have that. It is. I've used it when I went to Canada, and it really helps. If in case, because what happened is I went there and I forgot my passport at home.
Oh yeah.
Across the border, but luckily I had the enhanced one, and I made it no problems. So
let's actually talk about your situation, because this happens again. You're a living example of what happens to Michigan residents every single day at that border. Because actually a lot of people come from Canada to either study in the United States or work in the United States, like in Michigan and many other states that are bordering Canada. And they come on a daily basis. So these are individuals that get questioned by immigration officials, both from the Canadian side and the United States side, constantly. What you need to be aware of is, if you are going to free frequent that area near I-75 where people are accidentally taking the exit to Canada, you need to have a form of identification showing your U.S. citizenship. Now, in your case, you had the enhanced ID,
Yes.
which was
Yes.
very helpful.
Yes.
In my case, I decided a few years ago when I renewed my passport to get the passport card.
Yes.
The passport card is because I'm worried about losing my passport. I leave it at home all the time. But I'm not so worried about losing the passport card if somebody steals my wallet. And the passport card allows me that sense of security that if I do accidentally take the turn, or if I am questioned about my legal status, that I do have proof of my legal status. And that's
Yes.
because like you and I, many people that are parts of the immigrant community in Michigan are not born in the United States. So our birth certificate doesn't prove our citizenship.
Exactly. Which I do have the passport card as well. I got it after that. When I renewed my passport, they asked me, I said, yes, I would like to have that. It's in my
Yeah.
wallet and, it's good to have, you never know. We live in times, as you well know, and you're the expert on this. We live in times that are really difficult. So you never know if we're going to get stopped anywhere, you know. So it's always good to have that layer of protection. So since we talked last time, what's new? What's going on?
So, a lot of people are calling about whether their loved ones can get out of jail these days. And that's because a lot of the policies, the internal policies of immigration changed this summer. And it took effect in July of 2025. And it said if you cross the border without documents, then you no longer qualify for a bond hearing. So we saw many of our brothers and sisters from Jordan or Yemen that were coming through the southern border, again, because of a lot of issues that were going on, whether it be in their home country or a third country that they were living in at the time, and even our Palestinian brothers and sisters. So if they come through the southern border, they were not even allowed to get out of jail. They were required to fight their cases in jail. If they've been here longer than 2 years, now the policy is, again, you don't qualify for a bond in immigration court. So practitioners like myself are having to file cases in the federal court, forcing the immigration courts to release people and immigration officials to release people because they are being detained unlawfully without their constitutional right to be released on bond.
What's a
That's
bond hearing?
a bond hearing is an opportunity to ask the judge to let you out of jail with certain conditions. So, for example, having a tether, having other options such as in immigration, they place an app on your phone that takes a picture of your phone and documents your location so that you don't have to check in person. They know where you are. Or you can ask a judge to give you a cash bond. That is, judge, let me out of jail because I have a good case in immigration court. I have no criminal history. I have strong ties to the community. And then you pay a bond of up, anywhere between 1,500 and I've seen it up to $20,000 or $30,000.
And that bond allows you to leave jail and then work on your case while you're at home, or so you don't have to be in jail.
Exactly. So you're still fighting your immigration case, but you are with your family and loved ones while doing it, rather than sitting in a jail many miles away, or sometimes in other states, away from your legal counsel, away from your family.
Which is very, very important to be, for support with your family and pretty close to your legal counsel. If your legal counsel is not close, it's going to cost a lot of money, additional money.
Right.
Yeah.
And every time you have to talk to your client, you have to go through the jail process to talk to your client. So it's really difficult to prepare someone for a full trial when they're fighting for their lives and afraid to return to their home countries when every conversation is had through video.
Can the government do that? Hold people without bond?
That is the new policy. So that is exactly what happened. They changed this policy in July and said if you entered the United States without documents by crossing a U.S. border, then we can hold you without bond. And so since we were not able to fight that policy in the immigration courts, we took the fight to the federal courts. And we were successful in releasing, one of my clients has been released. It's been celebrated in the news because we are doing more now of these cases in order to basically let the administration know that the federal courts will protect individual rights.
We did touch up on the documentation matter. Could we talk a little bit more about it? I mean, what are we talking about? Even if we are, legally residents here, we should have all of our documentations on us. Is that correct?
Yes. So it's always been the rule, Khalil, that if you are a legal permanent resident, which is what we call green card holders commonly, that you're supposed to carry your green card on you at all times. That green card is the proof of your legal status in the United States. So now let's go back to what we said about the state of Michigan. Now you have to carry your license if you're driving around the state of Michigan. But you also have to carry your green card even if you're not driving, even if you're a passenger in a vehicle or you're walking down the street. Legally, you're supposed to carry that green card. Recently, we've seen on the news that the Department of Homeland Security has gone as far as fining people hundreds of dollars for not carrying that ID showing your legal status. Now, I know members of our community, including myself when I was a green card holder, we are so afraid of carrying our green card because what if we lose it? That is the only documentation we have proving our legal status. And people understand how cumbersome and difficult it is to file for a lost green card and how important that status is. But let me tell you something, you would still have to follow the law. And so it's better to carry the green card and as a backup, take a color copy of it, leave that color copy at home in case it gets lost so you can contact immigration and show them your previous one and get a new one. Another thing is take a picture of that green card and leave it on your phone or send it to your family members so that if you are, like you have seen, getting caught at the border or being asked by an immigration officer and you don't have that on you, at least you have other proof of your status.
We when I was somebody recommended to me when I was going through the process a long time ago is to even have my file always ready because you never know when I would need all of these papers and documentations and all of that. Even have it in order, have it ready because you never know really what happened. For those who are going through the process, not having yet a green card or not having the status adjusted yet.
Absolutely. That's great advice. That is great advice because there are so many agencies in immigration that are dealing with your file that it's always good to have an updated copy of your file. And every person, whether, you don't have to be a U.S. citizen, you don't have to be a green card holder, every person is entitled to a copy of their file from immigration through a process called what we call FOIA. It's the Freedom of Information Act request. And so you submit that request and they'll send you a copy of your file and you can have it ready for any attorney that might be taking your case next. So if somebody comes to me, that's the first thing I might be asking them is, do you have a copy of your file? So it's a great piece of advice out there for people.
FOIA, which is for information request, is that something any individual can apply for, or do I have to go through an attorney?
You can absolutely apply on your own for these things just because the federal government is attempting to make that process more streamlined and it's all online for them. The only piece of advice I would give people if you're going to do this one on your own without the help of an attorney is remember there are many agencies in immigration. So just because you have your A file, your alien file, doesn't mean you have a complete file. You should request your file from USCIS, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. You should also request your file from ICE if you've ever been in removal proceedings, that is Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And then finally, you should also consider requesting your file from CBP, that's Customs and Border Protection. That's because CBP are the individuals that are tracking every exit and entry to the United States. And those are that's the agency that you're going to need the record for if you're applying for citizenship, for example. So a lot of people come to me and say, I've been in the United States for 20, 30, 40 years as a green card holder. I don't remember the trips I've taken in the last 5 years, or I travel for work and I don't have all the trips on my passport or in my email. I don't remember my history. So it's good to get your history directly from the agency and then use that record to fill out your citizenship application. Which kind of brings me to my next point about citizenship, which is the advice that we've been giving people, because as you know, Khalil, so many members of our community qualify for citizenship, but they don't take that step of filing. And I think there is a lot of fear attached to the citizenship process. What am I going to do with an officer when they question me, when they ask me questions about the civics exam and the English exam? And to be honest, from my experience, our people they know how to speak English. They know the civics questions. They are just nervous about the process. And if I could just give people the confidence to say, you should apply and you should give it a try. I wish I could say that to as many people as possible, because the right is there. You have the right to apply for citizenship. Secure it. This is the time to secure it. The process has gotten so streamlined that everything for the citizenship application is online. You do an oath ceremony at your local court or local USCIS office. And it's been taking between 2 and 6 months. So please, if you get nothing out of our conversations, get the fact that you need to go to your family members and get everybody who qualifies for citizenship to apply immediately.
Wonderful. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Tired of the complexities of immigration? Haunted by the threat of deportation? Struggling to reunite with your family? Have you ever dreamed of living and working legally in America but don't know where to start? L. Sharnobi and Associates Law Firm, a leader in immigration and naturalization law, offers you legal support across the United States. We specialize in asylum, deportation defense, green cards and citizenship, family reunification, all types of immigration visas. Don't wait any longer. Contact us today and let our expertise lead you toward a secure and stable future. To schedule a consultation, call us at 313-581-9666. That's 313-581-9666.
Arab Center Washington, D.C. was established in 2015 to serve as a Washington-based authoritative research center on the Arab world and U.S. policies in the region. My name is Khalil Hachem, and I'm the Executive Director of Arab Center, Washington, D.C.
I am Tamara Kharroub. I'm the Deputy Executive Director and Senior Fellow here. Our mission at Arab Center, Washington, D.C. has been to provide Arab perspectives to U.S. policy conversations and to highlight rights-centered approaches to policymaking as a way to serve the causes of human rights, democracy, just and peaceful resolution to conflict, and constructive long-term U.S. interest in the region.
Our work also addresses fundamental aspects of U.S.-Arab relations through timely and objective academic research, policy analysis, and educational exchange, reaching millions of people here in the United States and around the world.
Since our inception, we invested in producing reliable, evidence-based, and inclusive analysis on important issues shaping the Middle East and North Africa.
We would like to invite you personally to check out our publications and events at arabcenterdc.org.
And please follow our social media platforms for timely responses to news, events, and current affairs.
arabcenterdc.org.
Life for Relief and Development has now been rated as one of the best charities for humanitarian aid. Life's humanitarian projects span the globe, and Life is celebrating its 30th anniversary of providing essential life-saving aid to people and communities in 36 countries, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. Where there is life, there is hope. And when disaster occurs here or around the world, including being one of the first responders to the Turkey-Syria earthquake crisis, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. We are looking to help the earthquake victims, and we take 0% overhead on emergency donations. So please help improve these efforts. Learn more about our involvement to help the helpless and bring hope where it's needed most, and make your tax-deductible donation to Life for Relief and Development now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. That's 248-424-7493.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. We are discussing immigration and immigration changes with attorney Shahad Atiya. Am I saying your first name correctly?
Shahad, yes.
Yeah, Shahad Atiya. And the other thing I would like to talk about is the visa abroad. Are these still available? I mean, has the Trump administration really clamped down and closed that window, or that's still, available?
I will say one thing that has been effective with the Trump administration is causing fear in our community that certain rights that individuals had previously are either no longer available or just don't apply because you're not going to get a visa. And from my perspective, it has made our job harder, but it has not made it impossible. So what I've been doing is guiding clients on what a visa interview now looks like under the Trump 2.0, and what are the expectations of documentation that the officer is looking for to approve you. So just don't take that the approval might come for granted. So we're seeing a lot of students or visitors that are trying to come to the United States with very valid reasons. They've done everything correctly, but they're getting denied at the border. They're getting denied at their home consulate or embassy for a visa. And obviously they don't know the reason, and that's by design. The system doesn't tell you a reason. When they give you a denial, they don't cite why the denial took place. So it's on you. So when people come to me and ask me, I take them through the process and then I flag the issues. And the most common issues we see is that the individual hasn't satisfied to the officer that they will return to their home country. So they did not attach enough financial records to show they have strong ties to their home country, that they're going to return, that they're going to come to their nephew's wedding and go home.
Yes.
The other thing that we're seeing is with student visas. And honestly, the biggest fear I've seen these days is with the student visas because of the initial revocation that we discussed earlier this year. And now some students are able to apply, but they're getting denied and they don't know why. And I'll say this about the students. Students need to be aware of why they're attending the institution that they are choosing. So you cannot give generic answers about wanting to study in the United States. That's not enough. You have to show the officer why you chose that school, why you're looking to attend that school, and what it means for your future. And so besides the financial records, besides let's say you got everything else right, students now are having to justify why they chose that specific school. And so make sure you're prepared to answer those questions for the officers. It's not going to be documentary evidence. It's really going to be a question of your credibility with the officer and how you answer the questions, whether you know the school well enough to dedicate 1 to 5 years to it.
Which is really being as normal as possible and as truthful as possible. That's the shortest way to get through. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Honesty is always the best policy here, but also you need to do your research on why you chose that school and why you are a best fit for that school for the number of years that you're going to study.
You have to have a plan.
Have a plan.
And that takes me to HB1 visa. Is that what it's called?
H-1Bs.
H-1Bs visa. Okay, so there has been changes on that. The president has been talking about charging $100,000 for that.
Yes.
And has that gone into effect? What's new with that? And what's H-1B visa?
Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit to answer your last question so that we can get people aware of where we are in the process. Right. There are people that come to the United States directly from their home country because they already have an advanced degree and a company here filed in the lottery system and their name got selected. So I want that specific employee to come from another country to do something for my company. There is another way where you are a student here in the United States, you complete your studies, you find a company that's willing to employ you, and that company sponsors you to get the H-1B visa. So every new H-1B filing as of September 21st, 2025, which is when the proclamation went into effect, will be subject to that $100,000 filing.
Wow.
The people that are filing previously, so they already had an H-1B and they're renewing it, or they filed before September 21st, or they're changing employers from one to another, They are not subject to that $100,000.
Are exempt, yeah.
$100,000 is going to affect new visas and the people that are filing subsequently starting in next year's lottery 2026. And what that does is it's going to specifically affect the people that are selected in that lottery or people that have already been selected this year but are filing right now. We really don't know the future of that $100,000 fee past next year. We don't know if USCIS will keep the rule. We don't know if the Trump administration will find it effective for employers because, as we know, many employers rely on talent from overseas.
Yes.
And that talent, you're getting it from overseas because you're not able to fill the gaps with the U.S. economy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this has posed a lot of challenges to some of the countries that depend on these talents.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about some recommendations. Some people think that I do have a green card, I can do this and I can do that, and then they come to the airport and they get in trouble. What are some recommendations for even people who are citizens? What are the recommendations that can make their departure and return to the U.S., because a lot has changed in the past year that make their journey safer?
I will say there are privileges through travel that you can apply for if you're a United States citizen, which circles back to why I advocate for the application of naturalization. Because if you're a United States citizen, you qualify for something called global entry. You qualify for other programs like the one we have with Canada called Nexus. And if you get global entry, it includes TSA pre-check. And so what global entry does is it bypasses that interview with the officer because you've already done all that work ahead of time.
Yes.
So every time you come into the United States, rather than having the interview with the officer, you go through the machines at the airport because you have your global entry card, which is now another ID that you can carry with you. But you only have to go to the customs agent and declare anything that you brought from overseas. You don't actually have to do the interview.
Yeah.
And that sometimes helps people with the peace of mind. If you have small children, you don't have to wait in those lines when the plane is landing in the middle of the night. It's really helped with travel.
Yeah.
And helping people streamline the process. Now, if you are questioned by an officer, whether you're a green card holder or a U.S. citizen, Customs and Border Protection agents have the opportunity to go through your phone, for example. This is the biggest concerns that we hear from people. After the initial questioning of where have you been, how much money did you take, how much did you bring back, who did you visit, or do you have anything to declare? The questioning becomes, I need to look through your phone. And with United States citizens, this is the distinction between citizenship and everybody else. United States citizens do not have to give their phone over to officers. And even when they don't, the officer has to let them into the United States because you're a United States citizen. So they can find another way, get a search warrant for your phone. They can still hold your phone, but they have to let you into the United States. And they can go through your phone, they say within 2 to 3 days, they'll return it to you. If you're a green card holder, or if you're a visa holder, or if you're coming as a tourist to the United States and you do not hand over your phone, the officer has the opportunity to turn you away and send you back. Either send you back to the destination that you came from, which is the most likely scenario. And sometimes people negotiate with the officer to go to a different destination. But sometimes that has meant being detained for a few days to get you back on a plane to basically remove you from the United States. So the people that are saying no, I don't know if they're understanding the bigger implication of you may have an order of removal, or now you may have a denial of entry into the United States, which means it's highly unlikely you'll be able to return to the United States.
Exactly. Does that apply to all electronics or phone only?
Yeah, it does apply to all electronics. Very good question. People are mostly concerned about their phones because that is the biggest access to somebody's private life
Sure,
these
sure.
days.
Yeah, yeah. And the issue of carrying cash with them. Okay. I've always been asked, how much money are you bringing with you? And I'm like, if I go to Lebanon, I don't bring back anything. They make me spend it all. But this is questions they always ask me. And leaving from here, some people think, okay, I can, carry a certain amount, but my wife can carry this much. And this is like, seems like a lot of confusion about that. What is
Very
the
much so.
clarification? Yeah.
Very much so. Such a good question here because members of our community call me with this question all the time. And I'll tell you this, the Customs and Border Patrol agents are going to assess your entire household. So it doesn't matter if you split up the money between you and your wife or kids. It's the members of the household can take up to $10,000 in cash that you do not have to declare. By the way, you can take as much money as you want if you declare it. All
Exactly.
you have to do is do the paperwork that says this is how much I'm taking. And nobody will ask you, questions if you do the paperwork.
Yeah.
And so
Do I have to show the origin of the money, where the money came from?
Exactly. So I was just going to say, be prepared that the question is about the origin of the money, how you have that much cash on hand in order to travel with it.
Okay.
But at the same time, the government says, as long as you declare it, we don't have a limit, basically. The other option is when the issue of having multiple people in the family, just know that if you're trying to pool the money with the government will pool the total with your family members. So
Okay.
you cannot circumvent the rule by having $9,000 with you and $9,000 with your wife, because that will be construed against you. And just so you know, that is an encounter with immigration. So later on, if you apply for global entry, for example, they will ask you about any encounters with immigration, and you have to disclose that you've had that encounter with immigration where you had to answer questions about declaring items or declaring cash.
We don't have time to go through what's allowed or what's not on the plane. People can review that on the TSA website and things like that. But a lot of people need to know. One of the things they get in trouble with is bringing green stuff from Lebanon or from the Middle East or from other countries. No green stuff, no raw meat, none of that stuff. So and just being as transparent as possible.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Any other recommendations?
Just check your documents. I always tell people, if you're going to leave and come back from the United States, just make sure that your passport has 6 months on it left for your trip and for when you return now. I'm very clear about this because you can't afford to be within that 6-month period and then have an issue where you can't come into the United States again. So it's just always good to take one look at your passport before you book that flight, because you don't want to be stuck with that issue later.
Yeah. Do you recommend that people, when they travel, citizens, when they travel, to register with the embassy in the country they're going to?
Absolutely. That's always a great plan to have.
What are the benefits of that?
If there is something that happens in the country that you're traveling, the Department of State is aware that you're there. And so if they have to make any plans to get U.S. citizens out, they know that you're going to be there so they can account for you and your family members. They also will be helpful if you have any health issues that you might need to reach out, or if you lose your documents. If you tell them ahead of time, then you can show up to that embassy and get either temporary travel documents or a new U.S. passport to come back to the United States.
Okay, it's always good to do that. Is there anything I haven't asked you that people need to know?
Just be careful out there, my friends, and take care of your families, and just know that we're always here for you. It is a very confusing time. It is difficult to navigate these issues, but we're here to support the community in any way we can.
Wonderful. If somebody has any question that we didn't ask or specific for their situation, how can they reach you?
they can call us at 248-951-2450. Or they can go to our website at www.atiyalaw.com. That's ATIYALAW.com.
Could you repeat that phone number one more time?
Yeah, sure. It's 248-951-2450.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short break. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you going to start a restaurant or grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Naji Abood, 734-744-9796.
A car accident can change your life in an instant. As a result of a car accident, you may become unemployed. As a result of a car accident, you may need a lot of medical treatment. People think that insurance companies are on their side. Why? Because they're giving them one or two benefits. Are they giving them all the benefits they deserve? How would one know unless you consult with an attorney? Call the law offices of Jumana Kiruz at 248-557-3645. 248-557-3645.
With more than 30,000 successful in vitro fertilizations, IVF Michigan is now ranked as one of America's best fertility clinics according to Newsweek magazine. IVF Michigan fertility centers are the recognized leaders in high-quality fertility care. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 9 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. A founding member, American Board Certified Dr. Nicholas Shama, is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. He has performed over 20,000 successful IVF cases, and it's helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. When it's time to get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at one of America's best fertility clinics, call IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio at 248-487-8084. That's 248-487-8084.
Welcome back and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem. I would like to thank Ms. Atiya for being with us. Please take this information very seriously. You know, once you have a problem with the government in as far as immigration, it could really ruin your life. It could put you in jeopardy for several months. Just you know, the little things you need to do. Please be careful. And if you have any questions, call Ms. Atiya. She'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. We're gonna go to a different segment now. As you all know, next month we'll be voting on various issues, and you know, some municipalities will be voting for local elections as well. And on the ballot in Dearborn, there's a very interesting question, and that is whether the city should move from what's called at-large city council into a more specific ward kind of type. In which, here's what's going on. Right now, we have 7 or 8 city council members, and they are elected, or 9. I think they're elected at large, and they represent the entire city. And some citizens are saying, you know, this is really not fair. The city should be divided into wards, and each ward, there'll be city council from that ward because they want to get better representation. I have, as a journalist, I have covered some of these cities, and this is a valid argument. And with us this morning is Mona Mawari. Good morning, Mona.
Good morning. Thank
you so much for being with us. Absolutely. So what is it you're trying to accomplish?
So we have Proposal 1 on the ballot. Proposal 1 is proposing changing our current election system for city council and for charter commission from all at-large seats to 7 districted seats or wards, in addition to 2 at-large seats. So it's going to be a mixed system, a hybrid system. The 2 at-large seats, anyone from the entire city can run for them, and anyone in the entire city can vote for them. And then the 7 districted seats would be, the city would be categorized to specific parts, and each part of the city, each area of the city would be guaranteed a city council member to represent them. And only the people in that specific ward or district can vote for that city council person, and the city council candidate would need to be residing in that same district.
In that district, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
That will guarantee representation.
For all parts. Yeah.
Exactly. Why do we need the 2 at large? Why don't we just have 9 different wards?
So we felt like it would be more balanced to have a mixed system. That way we have 2 citywide seats that, and 2 city council members that, represent the entire city, in addition to ensuring, every corner of Dearborn and every area of Dearborn has specific representation and is represented by an expert in their neighborhood, someone who understands their issues, someone who understands their needs, and would bring up those needs and specific issues on city council and ensure that, it just ensures equity, and it ensures equitable allocation of resources, of money and budget allocation. It just gives every single person a voice versus
more voices would be heard. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Absolutely. Compared to the current at-large system, where 6 of the 7, we have 7 at-large seats at the moment, and 6 of the city council members live in one area of the city, the most affluent area of the city, and you see the rest of the city, the mainly poor and working class residents, are not represented. And it's caused decades and decades and decades of disinvestment and historic marginalization. Yeah.
And again, we're not really accusing anybody of anything here. What we're saying is it just it provides better representation. And if the person lives in that neighborhood, that person is more aware of what's going on in that neighborhood than just coming from a different part of the city. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference if you live in that area, if you breathe the same toxic air that the residents breathe, if you hear the same traffic noise, the reckless driving, if you experience it every day, if you have to drive through the potholes yourself every single day, if you have to deal with the chronic flooding every single time it rains, our basements still flood. Or there are areas in the city where when it storms, the underpasses flood and people get trapped in that area. They can't even leave the area that they live in.
Yeah. So now if I have an issue with, and I need help, I can call any city council member. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And based on my own experience and based on the experience of many residents, you email you email either one or all. I've emailed all of the council members in the past and requested meetings with each one, and only a few responded and met with us. So it doesn't always work that way. People tend to, they feel like, maybe the other council member will take care of it, or maybe the council president will take care of it. And it doesn't always result in the outcomes that we want. And historically, the underrepresented areas have been incredibly loud and incredibly, they've brought up the issues to city council and to the city commissions. And unfortunately, they've been met with historic neglect. They've been ignored, and they rarely ever see the real change they need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so is that
what prompted you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that what prompted you and the other people working with you to put it on the ballot?
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely the pain and suffering from everyday people, poor and working class people that have so much on their plate already. And on top of that, they have to worry about neglect, about disinvestment, about lack of resources. And when they speak up, they get ignored and nothing changes. And so we believe that when you have districts or wards for city council and for charter commission, that your city council member will be more accountable to the residents that elected him. And number one, it also makes elected office more accessible to people from poor and working class communities. It makes elected office more accessible to women. Currently, we only have one woman on city council. And
yes.
It ensures that it's easier to unseat a city council member if they don't follow through on their promises and deliver for the residents that elected him. Because instead of having to win the majority of votes citywide, which is around 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, you'd be only campaigning for 15,000 people. So all you need is like a few thousand to win.
Exactly. If I can summarize what we're talking about here is that, the proposal is to divide the city into wards, 7 wards and 2 large council seats. What we have now is we have 7 council seats at large. The argument is that, residents will get better representation because the people who live in that district will elect somebody, or in that ward will elect somebody to represent them. The other argument is that, well, now you have access to 7 members, and 7 members can help you instead of 1, and then the argument from the other side is that it's easier to identify the person who represents you and go to, and if you need to hold them accountable, you can recall or put pressure on one instead, which is much easier to put pressure on 7 at large, and then if you have somebody living in the neighborhood, it's much easier to go to, and that person would be more attuned to the issues of the neighborhood. Did I summarize it correctly?
Yes, absolutely. They would be more attuned to the issues and needs and struggles of the neighborhood. Yeah. And everyone would know who is representing them because they live among them. They live in their neighborhood. They experience everything they experience, and they know exactly who to go to for their needs.
Yeah. Stay with me, Mona. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
All right.
A car accident can change your life in an instant. As a result of a car accident, you may become unemployed. As a result of a car accident, you may need a lot of medical treatment. People think that insurance companies are on their side. Why? Because they're giving them 1 or 2 benefits. Are they giving them all the benefits they deserve? How would one know unless you consult with an attorney? Call the law offices of Jumana Kiruz at 248-557-3645. 248-557-3645.
Arab Center Washington, D.C. was established in 2015 to serve as a Washington-based authoritative research center on the Arab world and U.S. policies in the region. My name is Khalil Hachem, and I'm the Executive Director of Arab Center, Washington, D.C.
I am Tamara Kharoub. I'm the Deputy Executive Director and Senior Fellow here. Our mission at Arab Center, Washington, D.C. has been to provide Arab perspectives to U.S. policy conversations and to highlight rights-centered approaches to policymaking as a way to serve the causes of human rights, democracy, just and peaceful resolution to conflict, and constructive long-term U.S. interest in the region.
Our work also addresses fundamental aspects of U.S.-Arab relations through timely and objective academic research, policy analysis, and educational exchange, reaching millions of people here in the United States and around the world.
Since our inception, we invested in producing reliable, evidence-based, and inclusive analysis on important issues shaping the Middle East and North Africa.
We would like to invite you personally to check out our publications and events at arabcenterdc.org.
And please follow our social media platforms for timely responses to news, events, and current affairs.
arabcenterdc.org.
Tired of the complexities of immigration? Haunted by the threat of deportation? Struggling to reunite with your family? Have you ever dreamed of living and working legally in America but don't know where to start? El Sharnobi and Associates Law Firm, a leader in immigration and naturalization law, offers you legal support across the United States. We specialize in asylum, deportation defense, green cards and citizenship, family reunification, all types of immigration visas. Don't wait any longer. Contact us today and let our expertise lead you toward a secure and stable future. To schedule a consultation, call us at 313-581-9666. That's 313-581-9666.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. We are talking to Mona Al-Mawari. She's one of the residents in the city of Dearborn. They are asking the city residents to vote on a resolution to change the makeup of the city council. Mona, another issue would be, before I say that, now you tried to work with the commission to make that change, and that didn't work. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So in 2021, the residents of Dearborn were asked on the ballot if they'd like to elect a charter commission to revise our city charter. And the residents voted yes. So then we had some candidates run for charter commission during the general election. And nine people won, right? And that system was and still is an at-large election system. The city charter is elected every 12 years. We have the option to elect a city charter commission every 12 years if the residents decide that. And they're all at-large seats. And so the Charter Commission was disproportionately made up of one area of the city. 8 out of the 9 charter commissioners lived in one area of the city. And only one charter commissioner represented the East End. And none of the charter commissioners lived in the South End. So,
Again, the representation was not there.
Yes, absolutely. So already we were dealing with a lopsided charter commission.
Sure. Yeah. The other issue, and correct me if I'm wrong, it would be cheaper, less expensive to run a campaign for a ward than running for a city at large, which means more people could enter the election.
Mm-hmm. Yes, before I answer that, I want to just finish my points regarding the previous question about the Charter Commission. We ran a low-funded, citizen-led campaign. We turned out people to the Charter Commission, and they made public statements. And, of course, the pro-awards folks were a lot more than the people who were against. although we didn't win, I still feel like it was a win because we got 4 out of 9 commissioners to vote yes on getting districted city council seats and charter commission seats. So we were only one vote short of getting it.
Yeah. So again,
then, your question about the money?
Yes.
Yeah, so
it would be cheaper,
it is a lot cheaper. Yes, so right now to run a citywide campaign for an at-large seat, it costs a ton of money to do so because you need to spread your name out there and you're campaigning for 110,000.
Do we know how much?
Yeah, over 110,000 residents. And we know that the last council president raised over $150,000 to become council president. And it's just insane because at this point, it's like, it's not about merit and qualifications and passion for service anymore. It's about who can raise the most money. And, you know, I'm pretty sure we all want money out of politics. And we want our city council seats to be accessible to everybody. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic background you come from, whether you're poor, you're rich.
Sure.
We want people to be able to win based on their qualifications.
Okay.
And so,
is there any other issues
I haven't?
Yeah. Is there any other point that we haven't addressed in regard to this?
I think we covered everything. I mentioned earlier that, the districts would be around 15,000 people per district. They all have to be equal in population. They would be, their lines would be drawn. This is one thing we didn't address. That, if this passes, there's going to be a city redistricting commission, an independent city redistricting commission that will draw fair maps, draw fair lines for the districts. And there's a lot of criteria for people to be eligible to become a commissioner on that commission. Number one, they can't be a politician. They would have, if they ran for office within the last 4 years, that would disqualify them from being on the commission. If they're a city employee, they can't be on the commission. And if they're related to an elected official, like if they're the daughter, mother, father, son, or of an elected official, that would disqualify them. The members are picked randomly, and it's everyday people, not politicians. So that was done to safeguard the process from gerrymandering.
Sure. Final thought, because I only have 30 seconds left. Final thoughts, Mona.
Dearborn, please come out and vote yes for Proposal 1. Vote yes for districted elections for wards. Vote yes for Proposal 1 from now until November 4th. Now you can vote absentee. Early voting starts on Saturday, the 24th, at the Civic Center. Please, please, please make sure your vote counts. We gathered over 8,000 signatures for this petition in only 20 days, which is historic. It's never happened before. So please make sure you vote yes so that your power isn't taken away from you and that your voices actually matter and are counted.
Thank you so much for being with us, and good luck with the election. This is a very important issue for the city of Dearborn, city residents. And I want to thank you for being with us. I want to thank Ms. Atiya for being with us, Shahad Atiya, talking about immigration. I want to apologize to Jerry for not being able to get him on the air. Thank you, Mike, for a great production. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye now.